Moving on to the next session, which is a panel discussion on fertilizers, analyzing policies to improve agricultural productivity, growth, and sustainability. May I now welcome Mr. Sanjay Chabra, Chairman Good Earth Segment, CII Agro and Food Tech 2020, and President and Business Head, Shriram Farm Solutions, a unit of DCM Shriram Limited, to kindly carry on the session as the moderator. Welcome, sir, and over to you.
As we have a very eminent panel of distinguished personalities with years of experience in the fertilizer sector. I would like to welcome the panelists, Mr. Virender Nath Dutt, Chairman and Managing Director, National Fertilizers Limited, Mr. S.C. Mudgerikar, Chairman and Managing Director, Rashtriya Chemical and Fertilizers Limited, Mr. Sanjeev Kanwar, Managing Director, Yara Fertilizers India Private Limited, and Ms. Jayashree Sabgopan, CFO of Coromandel International Limited, Mr. Neeraj Kumar Avasthi, Head of India Crop Nutrients, Anglo-American United Kingdom. Now I would request Mr. S.C. Mudgerikar, Chairman and Managing Director, Rashtriya Chemicals and Fertilizers Limited. Sir, kindly guide us about your thoughts. What needs to change in the sector of fertilizers?
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay Chabra ji. All the delegates and participants, very warm afternoon to you all. Fertilizer, as we all know, is one of the most crucial inputs for agriculture. It is well recognized that about 50% of the increase in food grain production since Green Revolution has been contributed by the fertilizers. The significant economic contribution of fertilizers can be gauged by the annual value of increment in food grain production. And as even some earlier participants said, since 1960-61, if we see that the food grain production was to the tune of around 80 million tons. And now, as on today's date in 2019-20, this has grown fourfold to 296 million tons. So that's a great achievement. And one of the reasons for this performance is the policy interventions from time to time taken by the government, which have greatly helped the fertilizer industry in finding its foothold in this country, as well as it has helped greatly to the farmers in getting timely and affordable fertilizers for their farming. When we look at what is the need for the policy, why do we have a fertilizer policy in the first place? Then we have to look at the expectations of the various stakeholders. On the one hand is the government, on the other hand are the manufacturers, and the most important stakeholder is the farmer. As far as the government is concerned, what does the government want? The government wants to ensure food security. Government wants to ensure affordability to the farmers. Government wants to ensure a balanced use of nutrients. It also wants to address the environmental issues, as Datsa very well pointed out. It also wants to ensure that the quality of the fertilizers is maintained. And it wants to discourage diversion of fertilizers to the other areas which are non-subsidized. What does the farmer want? Farmer wants the timely availability, and he wants that the fertilizers be made affordable so that his input cost is less. He also wants an improved yield from whatever land parcel that he has, and he wants that the soil health is maintained, and that ultimately should result into his improvement in earnings. That is what the farmer wants. What industry wants? Industry wants that there should be reasonable rate of return to whatever investments that they have made for manufacturing fertilizers. They want policy stability so as to have a long-term sustainability, considering the capital expenditure that they have to incur, and also the various expenditures that they need to incur to keep their plants up to date and meet with the energy norms. And also they want that the indigenous industry should be promoted, it should be encouraged. vis-a-vis the imports which are taking place. As such, when we look at these expectations from the various stakeholders, the main objectives for the fertilizer policy will be to ensure adequate and timely availability of quality fertilizers to the farmers at affordable prices, equitable distribution of fertilizers across the country, and also to encourage the domestic capacity of industries and to insulate the country from the volatile international prices. So, considering the need and the objectives of the policy that is required for fertilizers, mainly there are 4 policies which have been framed till now. One is the urea subsidy policy, which comes under the MNPS 2015. The second one is the nutrient-based subsidy policy for the non-urea P&K fertilizers. The third one is the new investment policy for encouraging the indigenous manufacturers to set up the plants here in India. And the fourth one is the uniform freight subsidy policy for providing support for taking the fertilizers to the different corners of the country where these are required in the farms. Several other policy level initiatives were taken from time to time, like neem coating of urea, then the introduction of 45 kg bag of urea, direct benefit transfer, introduction of POS machines, then the user authentication through the Aadhaar card. Then also for non-conventional kind of fertilizers, there was market development assistance, which was provided for, say, CT compost. So these are the various fertilizer policies which took place till now. Now, looking at the current scenario, there are various challenges being faced by each of the stakeholders, and how the policy is going to cope up with these challenges, and how the future is going to unfold, and how the policy is going to address the future concerns, that we have to see. If we look at the main challenges for the government, that is the increasing subsidy burden on the one side. Then urea is being sold on non-denial basis. So there has to be some check on that, whether it is being used for the rightful purpose. Government also is concerned about how to balance the domestic production and the imports. For that, various steps have been taken, like revival of the old plants. As you know, HURL is reviving 3 plants. NFL is reviving 1 plant, RFCL, Ramagundam. RCF is doing it with Talcher with a new coal-based gasification technology. So there are plans to increase the domestic production and to reduce our dependence on the imports. Then government also is concerned about how to ensure equitable distribution, how to fix up accountability, and how to bring in more transparency in the transactions which are taking place. And government is definitely concerned with the environmental issues and the quality issues, particularly in certain segments. So that has to be seen. For the industry, the main challenges remain to be the on-time payment of the subsidies, then the need to recover the huge capital investments that need to be made to increase the energy efficiency, to keep the plants up to date with the latest technology, to keep the manufacturing cost under limits. Third is the tightening energy norms. Definitely, these further induce the manufacturers to put in more capital expenditure so as to meet with the new energy norms. Then the fourth one and the most important one is that of the dependence on the natural gas prices. Because with the pooled gas for urea, we are greatly dependent on the natural gas prices in the international market. And our manufacturing cost, almost 85% of the cost, which is the variable cost, depends on the price fluctuation of the crude and gas in the international market. So these are some of the concerns, some of the challenges which we need to take into account while thinking of the policy changes that may be required. As far as the farmers, as I said earlier, that they need timely availability, affordability, then they also need to maintain the soil fertility. So considering all these things, government has also been thinking, and there have been several attempts to look at the various issues in detail so as to do some course correction. There have recently been an initiative in the in terms of Chintan Shivesh, in which 5 task force working groups have been formed. First one is for rationalization of logistics for fertilizer movement. The second one is promotion of new and alternative fertilizers. The third one is administrative and legal reforms in fertilizer sector. The fourth one is promoting balanced and sustained use of chemical fertilizers, and also to reduce the diversion of urea. And the fifth one is the direct benefit transfer, how to further refine that. Now, when already the brainstorming is on, there are definitely changes which will be seen in the coming days. And considering all these developments, how the future looks like, in the coming days, there will be greater use of technology in manufacturing, in transportation, in fertigation. There will be further refinement of the DBT system. There will be reduction in imports with revival of the old plants. There will be a more balanced use of fertilizers. The soil health cards, which everybody is talking about, these are going to be the reality very soon. There will be customized fertilizers, considering the different soil requirements. How much percentage that will be customized of each nutrient. There will be nano fertilizers, there will be biofertilizers, water soluble fertilizers, more use of organic fertilizers. There would be some novel areas like conversion of STP sludge, as Secretary Saab was talking about, the sewage treatment plant sludge being converted into CT compost. So all of these things are taking place and they are on the way. And considering all these developments, the future challenges, the tweakings which are required in the policy, what we can conclude is that we definitely need to have policy changes as and when these developments are taking place. We need to encourage a more balanced use of fertilizers. We have to also see, considering our financial condition, as to how to go ahead in the best way that the industry can also afford, as well as the farmers can get the fertilizers at a very affordable price. Definitely the steps which have recently been taken by the government in the agricultural sector, like having the market linkages, ENAM, and the country being a one market, I think these are very welcome steps. I believe we are moving in the right direction, and the coming days will definitely be better for the fertilizer industry, for the farmers, and I firmly believe that the government is working in these directions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mutterikar, for your crisp and clear views on what needs to be done in terms of fertilizer policy change. I think some of the points highlighted by you, sir, are very, very relevant. That how the government needs to balance the interests of all the three important stakeholders. I think you very clearly highlighted that while a DBT is good from a farmer perspective and from the government's perspective, we must also see that how the industry's financial situation is not becomes adverse. And so somewhere I think the government needs to look into the working capital requirements of the industry also. That's a very, very relevant point. And thank you once again, sir.